So, ladies and gentlemen, we just went into excruciating detail on how to source leads, both paid as well as free. Now, the question is, how do we actually organize them in a cohesive way? Because look, I just gave you I don't know how else to put this. I just gave you a fuck ton of ammunition, all right? I just gave you the full step-by-step plug-and-play guide on, as I said, how to source leads, not only free, but paid. And especially when you get, you use the methods that I showed you guys and you get a very cheap VA to do this stuff for you, you got more leads than you know what to do with it. Now it comes a matter of how do I collect as much information about these leads as possible, and as I said, put it in a very cohesive manner. And that is what we're going to be talking about in today's very punchy module. Ladies and gentlemen, storing and organizing leads. Now in today's teaching, we're going to go over how to store leads in a CRM, free plus paid options for CRM, scraping info from LinkedIn, from Facebook, and really just tying together everything that we've already looked at in terms of these plug and plays, how to actually organize your notes in the CRM, scheduling follow-ups, as well as reactivating leads. So ladies and gentlemen, let me just give you a really high level view first. Now, I've shown you how to become an absolute wizard when it comes to finding leads. Now, as I said, the focus needs to be organization. So we've looked at how to actually find leads. Now it's about scraping info. And this is something that, as I said, we've already kind of touched on in the last modules, like not only how to find leads, but I gave you guys a plug and play on how to actually qualify the leads. And a lot of that information will then go into that deal profile within your CRM. The main sort of thing that I want to touch on today is how do we organize the CRM? Because a lot of people's CRM is all over the place. And most people also don't understand that there needs to be two different pipelines, okay? There needs to be a pipeline for your active list, and there also needs to be a pipeline for your reactivation list. Now, I'm going to give you guys two options here, both a paid and free option, but I know that 90% of you guys will already be paying for agency flow. And I'm very happy to announce, and once again, maybe you're watching this a little later down the line and it's already a function in there, but I'm very happy to announce that in the V2 of agency flow, we're actually going to be having a very succinct CRM function directly within there. And obviously, because you're paying for the software, you get that free of charge. It just gets airdropped right into the software. Until then, if you're watching this before that V2 comes out, there's two options I can recommend. The first is Pipedrive, and the second is Trello. Now, right below this video, there is a plug and play on storing and organizing leads, and you'll find the links to both of those there. And in those, in that plug and play, I also give you a step-by-step written guide on exactly how to format your different pipelines. In Trello, you need to make two different boards. I show you exactly what to say, how to save a template, right? Because then with the template, that way each new lead, you don't need to keep rewriting information. You just use the template. And then, as I said, from there, it's almost like it's your deal format in every single new item you add to your lists. And then with Pipedrive, obviously, because it's a actual native sales CRM system, that has a lot more options and a lot more utility that you can use. But it's funny, it has all this additional utility. But for us, I found, even at my agency, we really don't need all that extra functionality. So with Pipedrive, you only need the $15 a month plan. So I'm just going to give you a little tour of Pipedrive and show you the way that you want to structure and set things up. So you can see right here, we have all of your deals, and this is actually in your active list. So there's a reactivation list, which we'll get into in a second, and your active list. Now you're going to have a few stages here. You're going to have prospect, and these are just a dump of all of your prospects, right? And as I said, whether you're finding the leads yourself or your VA is, just go ahead and dump all of these prospects in here. And obviously, as I said, if you're using a VA, you can actually give them the logins to your Pipedrive. So that way, when they find all these leads, they can put them directly in Pipedrive, or they can export all of it and format it in a Google Sheets or an Excel, and then migrate all that information over into Pipedrive. So then that way you don't have to do it manually. But as I said, you've got prospect, first TP. So prospect, first touch point, second touch point, third touch point, fourth touch point. And here's the thing, after you've reached out to them 4 times, really there's no point to do it again after that, right? So prospect, first touch point, second touch point, third touch point, fourth touch point. Here, appointment booked, meeting, closed client, right? So the way that we format this, right? I mean, look, someone may be a prospect, you may reach out to them for the first time, and then they book an appointment, right? And then obviously you're just going to go ahead and you're going to drag that deal over here. And then just because they book an appointment doesn't mean that you necessarily had a meeting with them, right? So here, all the ones that are stuck in this pipeline right here, these are actually prospects that were no shows, or maybe you just didn't, they rescheduled and you just never managed to find a time that worked for both of you guys. So this is actually a very, very good sort of part of your pipeline, right? So that's right here. Then you have meeting, and then you have closed client. And then once someone's a closed client, really you can just kind of delete them from there. Now let me show you what a new deal looks like, right? So you're gonna come right here, you're gonna put deal. In terms of contact person, if you actually know the business owner's name, then you'll put that in right there. So you'll go ahead and put in their name right there. Organization. Now, if you don't know their name, right, just put in their organization name. And then this will give you a deal title, right? So let's just use, Iman Gadji. Let's say, you knew who the owner was, agency flow, and then here would be agency flow deal. Here you can actually put in an estimated value if you want. I personally don't, right? Because you never really know until you get on that sales call. And then here you'll put them in the pipeline stage. So maybe you actually forgot to put them in and now they're going into appointment booked. But, very likely they'll just go in the prospecting stage. Expected close date, I personally wouldn't put that in. Owner, Iman Gadji, and let me go ahead and fill in those details. So you'll go ahead and press start right there. So as I said, once it's here, really you can just go ahead and drag to the different stages. And then what you can do right here is you can really start to add some details. You can add their phone number, their email, as you start to collect this information about them. You can write down your notes. For example, they are running Facebook ads. They're not running Facebook ads. Their ad library is very expansive, or their ad library is, it seems like they've just have, only 2 or 3 creatives and 2 or 3 variations. You can add some notes about, hey, they won this award right here. This, I don't want to box you guys in and tell you specifically what to write here, because this really is your playground. Then you've got your activity. So here you can say that, you actually, email one went out. It went out at this time. And here you can basically go ahead and, save this. So that way you have sort of a timeline of when things were done. Now, let's say you went ahead and you sent this first email, right? So now you've gone ahead and you sent that email 1, right? And that was done. You can see right here, what you can do is you can actually schedule an activity, right? So you can say, remind me, and I recommend that you guys all do this. After you send that first email, let's say you're doing this manually and you're not using Lemlist, like I'm about to show you guys how to do. And, as I said, that training is about to come up in just a second here. But if you're doing this manually, let's say you're cold calling, right? And you make the first cold call and you want to set an activity. You basically want to set a reminder, hey, 48 hours from now, I'm going to send another one. Or so let's say you call in and you make a note that, this business owner's PA, his name is John, right? So you're going to type that in, John, PA's name is John, called, told me best to ring on Thursday at 2 p.m., right? Then you'll set a reminder here as an activity. And then once you've done that, obviously, as I said, you can also tick these things off so you can see a timeline of when things have happened. Now, obviously, when you make that first email or that first call, you are actually going to go ahead and move their, the stage of deal they're at. And in order to do that, you're going to come right here and you're going to go first touch point, right? Because you've gone ahead and you've made that first touch point. Now, as you start to go through these, right, and you start to make, these 4th, 5th touch points. And by the way, the other thing that you can do is you can get a VA, right? You can get a VA to go ahead and collect all of these leads for you, put them in like a perfect package format, and then you go ahead and let's say, put all of this through Lemlist, and then your VA can actually have access to Lemlist and check how many emails have been sent to all of these prospects and basically pair things up. And then they can actually come back in here and fill these in manually for you, right? So a VA really is almost like having a robot. Like they're, pretty much all the VAs out there are so hardworking, so grateful for even, for a $3, $2, even a $1 an hour wage. It's insane, right? So there is incredible talent out there that you can find. And as I said, because of the global economy that we live in and the fact that we can use contractor arbitrage, it really is amazing because, as I said, you can really just delegate a lot of the parts of your business. Now, when you're first starting, you may not have that luxury. And this is something that obviously, as you start to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. clients, this is something that, for me is a no-brainer. Bring on VAs, like I've shown you guys how to do, in order to delegate the tasks that, really kind of bog you down. Now, let's say you are doing this yourself, right? You go through these touch points. Now, once you reach the 4th touch point, once they reach there, you're going to put them in the reactivation list. Okay. Now, timeout basically just means it's, timeout. Reactivate means obviously reactivate. And then reactivated means that, you've actually managed to get back in contact with them, right? So let me just go ahead and put this in the reactivation list and show you guys what that looks like. So you're going to come right here and you're going to make 2 lists. Okay. And as I said, all of these instructions are in the plug and play. You come to your reactivation list. Timeout basically means I recommend personally 90 days. Okay. So when you've gone through your fourth touch point with a prospect, I recommend that you leave 90 days and you come back. And the beautiful thing is, because there is a timeline of pretty much everything that's happened, you can basically go ahead and see that, when was that time, right? So your reactivation list to me is almost as important as your main list, because this is really just like, it's almost kind of like retargeting ads. These people know of you, and if you reach them at the right time, it can be very, very fruitful. It can be a very fruitful endeavor, right? So this is basically what Pipedrive looks like. They have other automations and stuff like that, but once again, I just come back to simplicity. I really, there's some very advanced stuff that we do using a system called close.com, and this is some of the stuff I show in CPA, and there's like email integrations and integrations with some of the, like Lemlist and other automated, and we use Zapier and build some of our own custom integrations, but like, really that stuff is more necessary when you're running ads or using appointment setters at like really high scale. For now, this really is all you need. You don't really need any other automations or to complicate things further than that. Now, speaking of, simplicity, if you don't want to spend $15 a month, I think, Pipedrive really is worth it. Or as I said, by the time that you're watching this, maybe Agency Flow in the V2, we already have our CRM built out in there. So you don't even have to worry about anything. It's just included already in the price you're paying. But for the time being, if you don't want to pay for this, then you can also use Trello. Now, ladies and gents, this is what Trello looks like. Now you can see right here, you are going to have 2 boards, active list and reactivation list, right? So in your active list, now let's say, for example, real quick, I want to show you, if you add a card, you can see create from template. And here you're just going to go ahead and this is all stuff that I show you guys, right? So you're going to go ahead and have one template. So that way, each time you have a new prospect, you put in the prospect name here, and there's already some details that you can punch in rather than having to retype this every time. Okay. And so this is all already in the plug and play that you guys get below. So you can see first touch point, second touch point, third touch point, fourth touch point, appointment booked, meeting, close client, right? Now, if someone's gone to the fourth touch point, then what you are going to do is you're actually going to go ahead and move them. You can see right here, move, and you're actually going to press reactivation list, and you are going to put it in to do, right? Like you need to reactivate them, somewhere down the line, 90 days, as I said, is what I recommend. So you come right here to reactivation list, and then you have all of the leads that you didn't manage to get through to. You have your doing. Now, when you're actually reactivating, I recommend no more than 2 emails, because if you do it that way, you're not bothering them, and you can actually reach back out again 90 days later. But the thing is, if you spam the shit out of them, send them 7 emails the first time, and then, reactivate by sending another 7 emails, like it's just, they're just gonna get annoyed, right? Whereas if you just gently pop back in with the 2 emails or 2 calls or 2 messages on Facebook Messenger or, Instagram DM or whatever, then you have a lot higher likeliness to actually, as I said, reach them at a point in their business where they're like, okay, you know what, this is something that I'm open to, and I'd be interested in having a demo call or a 15-minute ad audit or a discovery call, whatever way you frame it. And this is something that we actually go over in phase 5 as well. So as I said, ladies and gentlemen, down below there's a full plug and play. So you don't need to remember any of these settings or anything like that. You can just go ahead and revisit that. Now, real quick, let's talk about scraping info. Now, as I said, I have touched quite a lot on this already in the last modules, but I really just want to, from a high level, summarize it and just give some further thoughts outside of the plug and play. So ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to finding leads for local businesses, as I said, the things we're going to use are D7 Lead Finder. We're going to use Google Maps. We're going to use Groupon, and we're going to use Facebook groups. Now, luckily, because it's local business, they have their phone number there, right? Now then, that's not necessarily the phone number of the business owner themselves, but when it comes to local businesses, as I said, the personal business owner, they never ever put their phone publicly, right? So the other thing that you can do is obviously you can then use, become a little bit of a detective, right? What I do is I will literally then at that point look at the business's Instagram page and also look at who they're following, because a lot of times, obviously, they're going to be following the founder, right? Then look at LinkedIn, right? A lot of times they have all this stuff listed on LinkedIn. So just between Instagram and LinkedIn, because most business owners out there obviously have a little bit of vanity, right? So they will follow themselves from the company Instagram. Okay. Obviously on LinkedIn, a lot of times they list everyone who works. Between that, most of the time you can find who the business owner is, and then you can find out a little bit about their Instagram, their Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. And then now this, really starts to open things up. So when you're finding all this information and when your VA is finding all this information, as I said, make sure to try to find the business owner's Instagram, their LinkedIn, their personal Facebook, if you've got that as well. Try to find out any awards or accolades that the business itself has gotten. Have they been featured in this magazine? Have they been, featured in this award, et cetera, et cetera, right? And this is all stuff that you can add in the lead sourcing phase that then can help personalize your outreach. So once again, I've already kind of touched on this on the in terms of like finding leads. But what you can do is, and we'll get into this in the cold email portion of the program, you can either just use a spray approach, right, where everything is fully automated, or you can use a hybrid approach where 30% is personalized and the other 70% is automated. But the way that it slots in is basically you'll just you or your VA will find a little personalized first paragraph, and then everything else is automated from there, right? So this is all stuff, and I didn't want to be too specific and say, hey, you need a personalized first paragraph, or you should go automated only, or like you should find this information or you shouldn't find this information, because really one man's trash is another man's treasure. For some people it's really important for them to know a phone number, whereas for another one it means nothing. Whereas for some people it's really important to know the business owner's Instagram, whereas for some they really don't care. So the main thing that I want to get across right here is I've given you guys all of these extensive plug and plays, but when it comes to, so you guys know how to find leads, you know how to organize leads, but specifically on the scraping front, really, first of all, you personally figure out what information is important to you in order to scrape, and then also figure out how you want to organize it. Now, moving over to the e-commerce side of things, we'll use things like my.ips. We'll use things like Amazon. We'll use things like media and awards, and just finding these massive lists. We'll use things like Instagram, right, and that function that allows you to do look at suggested accounts. We'll use the Facebook ads library. That's obviously a massive one, especially with their new update, or at least it was a few months. Actually, I think it may have been over half a year ago at this point, but like, with that new update, I mean, literally now with the possibility that you can search by keyword, it's infinite, how many brands you can find out there. And then Kickstarter is another one that I gave you guys. And a lot of stuff that I ran through in the qualifying plug and play, about are they running Facebook ads, using a tool like SimilarWeb to get an idea as to what their, what the foot traffic is on their website. You collate all of this together, and as I said, you find the system that works for best for you. Well, first of all, you find the information that to you is the most important to scrape, right? The information that for you personally and the form of outreach that you're doing is, as I said, is information that'll actually help you spark up a conversation with this business owner. And as I said, this all depends on the rest of this phase that you're going to watch and the medium that you decide to choose. Because, if you're doing cold email, finding out about awards and stuff like that they've been nominated for isn't very helpful. Whereas if you're using a profile funnel and you're messaging these business owners directly, that's very, if you know about some of the stuff that they did, that's very, very useful. So as I said, the real key here is to find what works for you specifically, what information is important for you to scrape, and then which way you want to index it inside of either Pipedrive or, as I said, Agency Flow when the V2 comes out. And as I said, do not be shy if you are using a VA to tell them, hey, this is the information I want indexed, and here is how I want you to put it in the CRM. So it's in one nice little pretty package that I can just start working through. So ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about organization. I actually got a little bit excited and ended up running through this, so we don't need to touch on this again. I've already showed you guys how to organize your Pipedrive as well as your Trello. The plug and play is down below. And as I said, when Agency Flow V2 comes out, the plug and play will be automatically updated. So that way it will have Agency Flow, basically how to set up your entire CRM, as well as Trello if you want to use a free version. So ladies and gents, action step for today is go through the plug and play and either set up with Pipedrive or Trello. And as I said, potentially V2 of AF has already come out, and then you can just use that instead. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have enjoyed this module. And on that note, I'll catch you guys in the next one.